we are going to tell you the story of how Miles and Luna got talking after they were not able to retrieve Luna's stuff. And Luna goes, you know what? I know this guy out in the desert, and he's a really powerful wizard. He used to be part of the Collegium Carnis, but he no longer is. But, you know, I think he'd be able to help us, and I'm on really good terms with him. So Miles goes, oh, okay, well, let's go do that, and we'll see, you know, exactly what's going on. And maybe we can get some help from him. Maybe he can organize transport for us or whatever. And unfortunately, when they get there, this man up here on the building here is the guy that she knows, and he's a sorcerer. He's unfortunately a shadow sorcerer, so he can actually control shadows and form them into real-life things, creatures and whatnot. And as soon as he sees Miles, he flies into a rage and says, I'm absolutely not going to help you. You know, they had a falling out prior when he used to be in the Collegium Carnis. The unfortunate fact is that Luna did not know his name. She just knew of him, and she had experiences with him, so Miles had no idea this was the guy she was talking about. So they have currently, when they met this man, they were in a ravine, basically, in a canyon, and this is where his base is. And he says, there's no way I'm letting Miles get out with his life. This is going to be where you're going to spend the rest of eternity here. I'm going to capture you and throw you in and torture you because of all the things that you did in the past to me and my loved ones. So apparently Miles had screwed him over at some point and did him dirty, as they say. So as soon as Miles and company go, well, heck, we're gonna make way. We're gonna make a beeline for this exit right here. That exit on the far left is where they have to leave because the rest of this is a canyon. And that's when the Shadow Sorcerer starts summoning shadows, living shadows, to kill our heroes. I mean, technically they're not heroes, but kill our main characters. So our job is we have to get to that end and try to get everybody out of here without being murdered. This is the solo cooperative mission called Get to the Choppa, and we've got a ton of shadow miniatures to put on this board, so let's see how this goes. Alright, so this mission runs a little differently. At the beginning of each game turn, we roll once for each 2 points on our player list, which our list tonight is 8 points. So we're going to roll 4 times each turn at the beginning of the turn to deploy how many and how far these shadow people are. You see that we're quickly getting surrounded by these things. And then we activate our entire warband after they deploy, and then they activate all of theirs. And then at the top of the next turn, we deploy even more of them, rolling 4 times, and we will be dropping them between 4 inches and 12 inches away from us, and between 2 and 4 people per cluster, depending on how we roll. So clearly this exit does not look to be the good way to go, so I think we're probably going to try to make it this way over to that exit. We'll see how that goes. At the end of our first turn, we have killed exactly no shadows, unfortunately. Gabby was rolling pretty terrible, even with some rerolls. Our Pistolier had rerolls, and she still couldn't hit any shadows. So obviously we decide to avoid all this nonsense over here, and we start backing up and trying to get over here. Now we only, as per the mission rules, we only have 6 turns to get all the way over here with zombies in between. So this is pretty terrifying, honestly. So what happened was Dunch ran over here, he shot and missed everything, like 1s and 2s is all she rolled. Then the Pistolier shot everything and even had rerolls and failed it. And then Reich came over here to run as his free action and rolled a 1. And then we tried to charge the shadow people and then rolled like a 2. It was just terrible. So the luck of Gabby is striking right now. Hopefully that turns around. Miles was able to move back some, and he's a fanatic, so he cast both of these movement blocking barriers. And then as his free action as the leader, he ran. Reich is an ambusher, so he always runs as a free action. And then he cast 2 time slip on Dunch. So let's see how the enemies react, and then how they deploy. This is pretty scary. At the end of their activation, they all moved, and they all ran, actually. So everybody's turning around here. And by the way, I forgot to verbally mention, Luna just flew right up here because she's like, I'm getting out of here. So it's a fairly good chance that we might get Luna out of here, but everyone else might just be dead. We'll see. But even this squad had to run to get this far, so that's how far they went. They weren't able to charge. But now we're getting more and more clusters in our way. Let's see what the new units are deployed, see where they are. Man, things are not looking good for our group. Look where they all deployed. This is just nonsense. I don't know how we're getting through this at all, to be honest with you. I almost feel like just saying, you know what, we lost, but no, we're going to power through this, and we're going to see what exactly we can do with all of these shadow people popping up everywhere to come kill our group. Meanwhile, Luna's like, I'm not afraid, I'm all the way up here. As you can see, Miles and company are trying to carve a path through all these bodies. So Miles was able to come up here, and of course he's a fanatic, so his first failure was a critical failure, and he hurt himself trying to do time slip. But the double barrier did go off, movement blocking barrier, and Dunch killed a unit, and Lancer did nothing, unfortunately. Even Luna jumped down and got into the action. She killed one out of that squad, and they didn't hurt her. We're treating her flight agile ability as being ignoring this lava, but moving through it will give you 3 flame tokens. So Reich and Miles are going to have now they have flame tokens. Reich was able to do a blinding on them by assaulting them. He killed one of the people in that squad and did a blinding. So the way I'm taking that, obviously shadows can't really be blinded, but they are being remotely controlled by the guy over on that building. So I'm assuming that the frequency of them has been messed up for a turn. And that's the same thing with this bleeding result right here. And, matter of fact, the burning result that Luna gives them. I'm saying that they are slowly, like, losing energy. Whatever binding he did to this shadow is starting to leak, and they might end up losing some shadows from it. So, just gotta fudge it just a little bit, but that is what happened this turn. So let's see what happens with these monsters. We still have an open gateway right here, obviously, for them to get to us. So let's see what happens. Another bang-up turn for the zombies. Now, I should call them shadows, not zombies. But this actually is something that was really good in our favor. This first squad of 3 moved up and had like a 2-inch charge, or actually probably a 3-inch charge to get Lancer, and rolled a 1. Lucky for us, this other group behind it could not get around it to charge, because the way we had placed them by accident. So that's good. This squad runs under here, followed by this other squad. This squad just stayed put because it was blinded. This group came from all the way over there and charged poor Reich. Reich killed one of them, but they murdered Reich. So now they're bleeding and disrupted as well. This one assaulted Luna, and neither one of them did anything to each other, but the burning token actually did affect it, and it still bled. So actually we need to move her 2 inches back. So that is basically it, and let's see if we can try to make it through this. Next is deployment of new waves. Alright, now we are done. What did you say when we deployed all these shadow people, Gabby?
That's a lot of shadow people.
Yes, it
is. 29.
29 shadow people are spread all over here. And now it's our turn to activate. Let's see what we can do. At the end of our turn, we've had another bout of kind of subpar Gabby rolling, unfortunately. So Dunch aimed at that squad right here and did absolutely nothing to them, even with the time slip, which was amazing. Lancer shot and killed one person that was about right here, and that kind of paved the way for this small alley. Luna decided to hop over here and try to charge them, and rolled a 1 for her charge, which was amazing. And then he used the free action to move and run and still cast his powers. He gave Dunch and himself a time slip, and then made walking barriers right here. So trying to mark off quite a few of these guys. Unfortunately, it leaves us vulnerable against these guys. We'll see what happens. Like Gabby just said, this would be very, very scary to be facing all of these shadow people. That's for sure. In general, they took this turn to move. They're over here, they moved that way, these moved that way, these moved that way, they all ran. This one squad that was right here, they lost a hit point because of bleeding, and then charged her. She struck back at them. They did 3 burning tokens on her, but she killed them. And then they charged him, and they charged him. These guys were back here, so they moved through. And they did one failed save on him, but he was able to use his time slip and save it. The other squad did nothing to him, and I don't think he really did anything to anybody else. So that's where we're at. Next is deployment of the enemies. This battlefield is now swarming with shadow people. Look at this. Like it's just the sheer number. I think Gabby right now is counting them. Did you get a final count, Gabby?
Yeah.
What was it?
45.
35?
Yeah.
We have 35 shadow people on the board. This is just nuts. They're coming out from everywhere. And of course, like we said, they're being controlled by this guy over here. And it's nuts. So now it's our turn. Let's see what we can do. This is the top of turn 4, so we only have this and 2 more turns to get everybody to this door, or they are dead and they'll be taking insanity. So let's see what we do. We just finished our turn, and even though we're being chased by all those shadow people, Dunch moved up and fired and killed 2 people out of the squad right here, which was nice. Lancer killed whoever was sitting right here as well. There was 2 squads here, so she helped clear the way. And then the Luna jumped over all the enemies and charged this unit that did have 2 people right here. She did 4 burning tokens and an agony to them and killed one of them, and they did nothing back to her. And then Miles was able to move up and took more burning tokens for going through the lava. But with his fanatic ability, he gave himself and Dunch a time slip again, and he's been able to hold off quite a bit of the army with this double barrier each time. So unfortunately, we don't have a healer on the team, but Lancer currently does have a potion, and so does Miles. So if we get somebody that's too hurt, we can at least heal them, because remember, Miles has been making potions this whole time. But this right here is a cool picture, I think. All these shadow people coming out after him over the lava. I just really like the way this is looking. I'm pretty confident, unless they kill him in melee or something, Miles and Luna should be able to make it to the exit in the next 2 turns, but I don't know about Dunch and Lancer. So we'll see how that turns out. Next up is the enemy activation phase. On the enemy's activation, everybody's moving up to try to get us around this barrier. So poor Luna got assaulted 3 times. She got assaulted by them, she got assaulted by them, and assaulted by them. Meanwhile, Miles got assaulted by this group and this group. So, this one assaulted that. So, not a whole heck of a lot happened. The only real thing is that Luna lost a hit point and is now in agony. Miles took 1 unsaved wound, but was able to save it with the time slip. So, not too worried about that. This is the beginning of turn 5 now. We only have until the end of turn 6 to make it. So we've got 2 more turns to make it here, but the problem is we're getting ready to deploy even more swarms. Good lord, there's a lot of shadow army here. Look at this. So they're all spawning all over the place here. A lot of burning tokens, and poor Luna is right in the thick of everything, so that's unfortunate. Man, I'm getting less and less confident we can actually pull this off. Let's see. As you can see here, we've done some fancy footwork this turn. We had to use both of our faction trait feats this turn. So Luna, when she was still standing here, if you remember, she was surrounded by zombies or by shadow people. She did her scream or whatever that makes them all spread out 8 inches away from her. So that's why we got this huge path. See, she was standing like here. And we got this huge path of people getting pushed away as she shrieks and disrupts the control he's got over these things. Normally it would be scaring them, but I don't feel like that's appropriate for this. And there we go. So then we decided that Miles could not be targeted for charges or shooting this turn, which is our second feat. So we have done a time slip on both of us, Dunch and Miles, and we've done 2 walking barriers to try to hold back the masses, because there's a lot of death over here, I gotta tell you. So we're gonna try to make it on our last turn. Meanwhile, she actually charged a unit and killed it, and now she has successfully survived, so she's off the board. Now it's just these 3 to fend for themselves. We'll see what the enemies do. And I forgot to mention, actually, that Dunch was able to kill 2 people in this squad, and Lancer was able to kill 2 people in a squad that was right there. So they did do some work. Well, they put up a good fight, but unfortunately, Lancer was assaulted by them and assaulted by them, and then Dunch was assaulted by this guy and this guy and this guy and 4 other guys. So, unfortunately, Lancer is now deceased, and so is Dunch. So that's an insanity for both of them. And the only thing that kept Miles from being assaulted, like I said, was our faction feat. So, assuming I don't roll 3 10s or 1s in his next activation, he should be able to make it to the exit, and only him and Luna survived, only 2 out of 5. On the 6th and final turn, we deployed more zombies over here and around there and whatnot, and luckily though, none of them were within 2 inches for him not to be able to get there, so he just hopped right over here. He did take 1 more damage from another burning, but he's totally fine. And we survived the game. Each one of them scores 3 victory points for escaping, and of course, everybody on the winning team actually gets a victory point, but unfortunately, Lancer is now going to be at 3 insanity, and Dunch is going to be at 1, and Gil is already at 3, which is why I did not bring him on this mission, and Reich is now at 2. So the insanity is slowly piling up. We got to try to do something about that, but luckily we were able to escape from the Shadow King, and that is game. So we did win, but boy, at quite a high cost. At the end of the game, we have some new improvements for everybody. Dunch scored 1 victory point, 1 experience for being on the winning side. That put him at 20, and he was able to raise his passive skill for building from a 6 up to a 8 up to a 6 up. He failed that roll, as you can see, but he did gain 3 gold when he scavenged. So you see that roll right there. Gil got 1 experience for being on the winning side. Nothing else happened. He was able to inspire Lancer, who was now at 3 insanity. Now she's at 2 because he was able to talk her down. He didn't use haggling because we were never able to find a merchant yet. Reich got 1 experience for being on the right side of the law here, and didn't improve in any way. Lancer ended up getting 1 point, and that was it. But Miles leveled up 3 times. He had a total of 6 experience, and he got auto reset to healthy. Actually, him and Luna got the same exact things. So him and Luna both got a bump to one of their passive abilities. They both got a +1 to fight skill and +1 to ranged hits if they ever use a gun. And also they got auto resetting to healthy between missions. So that is the end of that. I'm going to go ahead and take Luna and make her explore, because none of us are really injured. A 7. And the exploration chart 7 says, hidden abilities. The leader learns a 6-inch power permanently. Does not count towards model traits. Well, that's pretty cool. So Luna now is going to know a power. You know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and say she knows teleport. It goes with her phasing ability, and it might get her out of a jam in case she gets in one. So that's pretty cool. I like that. Alright. We have now won 3 out of 7 missions. So the idea was that this campaign was going to run to 5 wins. And that is how long we're going to play for. So we could just have 2 more games in this campaign, or we could have a bunch more if we never ever win. So that's pretty exciting. Alright, well, that's it. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see you hopefully next week.